everyone. Welcome back to Combat Court, presented by Pub Sports Radio. I'm your judge, Sin City Sarah. I am joined by the best fight night crew in the game, where we have two of our members going head-to-head and arguing out who they think should win this weekend at UFC 271. All right, for our next matchup, the lightweight bout, we have Liam representing Bobby King Green against Uncle Weezy, who is representing Nasrat Haqparast.
I like Haqparast in this fight, the first of which is he's 26 years old, while Bobby King Green is weighing in at 35 years of age here in the lightweight division. And we both know that right around that 35-year mark is when these guys start to slow down a little bit. And another reason these guys start to slow down a little bit is when we see them have over 400 minutes in the pro cage, like we got for Bobby Green. And I think there's something else that he's going to have to worry about here, man. And it's the power of Nasrat Haqparast. This is probably going to take place on the feet for about 80% of the fight. And Nasrat Haqparast has more knockdowns in 8 UFC fights than Bobby Green has in 17. So if this fight stays on the feet, and these guys are boxing, I like Haqparast's 71% striking defense. I like the fact that he's got a power advantage here over Green, and I like the fact that he's not going to be collecting Social Security anytime soon.
All good points and all fair points, my man, Uncle Weezy. But, you talked about this fight going to be taking place as a boxing match and at boxing range. And I would agree that's a fight that favors Nasrat Haqparast. He's the southpaw. He's the younger guy. He's got good hand speed. He's got incredible power in both hands, but mostly in that left hand. But I think what we see from Bobby Green is that Bobby's got these long weapons, man. He could switch stances. He could fight out of the southpaw stance as well as orthodox. And what we see is from that southpaw stance, he's got long tools. He can kick you with that low line side kick to the knee. He can hit you with the teep kick to the body, keep you at space. And he could also throw up those body kicks round. He could throw up a high kick towards your head. He's got multivariate skills on the feet. On top of that, Bobby Green, known for that shoulder roll defense. This is a guy who had competitive minutes on the feet with Rafael Fiziev, one round on two judges' scorecards against one of the top guys coming up in the division. On top of that, we've seen Bobby Green out-wrestle the likes of Clay Guida. So he's a guy who's got skill sets in all departments of the fight. And I think that in this matchup, Bobby Green will have paths to bail himself out. We've seen Marcin Held get on top of Nasrat Haqparast and win fights via top time and control minutes. We've seen Drew Dober hurt this guy early in a fight, knock him out and finish the job, put him out completely cold. And on top of that, we've seen Nasrat in his last fight get completely out-wrestled by newly minted featherweight Dan Hooker. So I believe that Bobby Green, who's got wrestling in his back pocket, who's underrated in that department, but who also has very competent striking, is going to be able to handle the younger, talented man in Nasrat Haqparast.
I agree with you on a lot of those points. The one problem here is that we both know Bobby Green doesn't really finish fights. And here we are in the UFC where we have several mentally ill and mentally challenged judges who have never seen a fight before in their life. And they're somehow allowed to actually put numbers on a paper to determine which one of these guys wins. And Bobby Green finished his first 2 wins in the UFC. Then he put together 6 straight decision wins. There were losses mixed in there as well. And then the last one, he's got a knockout win, but it's over Long Island's #1 real estate agent. So I don't know, man. This is going to be a step up a little bit from the last fight for him. I think that the judges are going to be judging for damage, and we know that Haqparast hits harder than Green. And, for a guy that coasts to decisions, and then you're laying juice on him, I would be very nervous betting Bobby Green on Saturday.
I totally get where you're coming from, but again, let me push back to say this. My man Bobby Green has been 5 times a favorite in the UFC. He's 4-1 in those contests for a 20% ROI. Nasrat Haqparast, on the other end, he's been an underdog 3 times in the UFC. He's 1-2 in those performances for a negative ROI, and he's had a negative ROI overall as a fighter so far in the UFC. That last time out against Dan Hooker, I think a lot of us thought he was a live underdog. That was a winnable fight for him. Dan Hooker had visa issues, barely could make it to the fight. They both did, but I thought that was a pretty uninspired performance from Nasrat. Showed that he hasn't shored up some of those wrestling deficiencies that he had in the past. And he also got outstruck at distance by Dan Hooker as well. So I think that there's concerns in every aspect of this fight for Nasrat Haqparast. And we got to remember, he's actually dealing with emotional turbulence in his life. I believe he dealt with the loss of a family member leading up to his last fight, had a pretty listless performance. So it's one thing to expect that he's going to come back here and show an improved version in the octagon because he's the younger competitor. But we don't know what headspace Nasrat Haqparast is in, and he might turn in another lifeless performance. I wouldn't want to have my money behind him if he did that on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, at least he's plus money in this spot, and at least I think that this fight does go to decision. And I do never mind going with the guy that might be landing the heavier shots, the more eye-catching shots. And Bobby Green is really good defensively, but who's even better is Nasrat Haqparast, the number one striking defense percentage in the lightweight division here at 71.66%. So I think if this thing stays standing most of the time, it's going to be very close, and you'll want to be holding that plus money ticket while the mentally challenged judges figure out who they're gonna pick.
I'm just going to slightly push back and say that while Nasrat has shown off some impressive stats so far in the UFC, I think his stats have also been benefited by the fact that he had limited striking exchanges with Marcin Held. It was more of a grappling match. Then he loses to Drew Dober, but it was almost instantly. So we didn't really get to see his stats negatively impacted by that fight, except that he took one knockdown in the bout. I think that, that last fight against Dan Hooker, that was, one of these steps up in competition that we always talk about. And I think Nasrat, he's had a few steps up in competition and he's fallen short each time. Whereas Bobby Green, he's been fighting the killers of the division, guys who are legends of the game. And I think that when I look at my man Bobby Green on paper this weekend, he's got the better resume and he's got a lot to offer, despite the fact that you got to lay a little bit of chalk by his name.
Take yourself off mute, my man.
Real quick, even though you said 35, is pushing the limit. I'm 37. I don't like hearing that. Let's be real.
I'm older than you.
Let's be real here right now. Bobby Green, his last wins, Ali Quinta, okay? Alan Patrick, Lando Venata, and Clay Guida. I do believe not one of them is still with the organization. Maybe Lando, but I think they already cut him. That's all I got to say. I'm going to rest my case there.
Alan Patrick is still waiting to take his beating from Mason Jones. I had an inside the distance bet at plus 110 that is still owed to me on that fight. But I will also just mention this. While he has lost some of those higher level fights, he's still been in them. Rafael Fiziev is on the precipice of a top 15 run in this division. When you look at the other guys that Bobby Green's been fighting, there's not one single slouch among them. If you look, I'd say the worst fighter is Alan Patrick, but even still, Alan Patrick is just a little bit older. Clay Guida a little bit older. They're still very seasoned pros. Bobby Green has so much more experience than somebody like Nasrat Haqparast, and I think that goes a little bit undervalued sometimes in these matchups where Bobby Green's coming up on, 50 fights or something as a professional. It's just an absurd level of experience. The guy has been there, done that. Fought the best guys in the division. The only guy who's ever put this guy away is the lightweight knockout king, Dustin Poirier. So I think that Nasrat is a very talented young prospect, but I don't know that we're ready to anoint him on that Dustin Poirier level of power or precision. So I'm going to roll with my man Bobby Green until proven otherwise. And even that Lando Venata fight, that was a reversal of a split draw back in the day. So I think we're still seeing improvements from Bobby Green, despite the fact that he's a little bit older in this division. And I think he's got a well-rounded game to cause problems for Nasrat everywhere.
Well, Bobby King Green is the king of one thing in the UFC, and that's taking old men's social security checks. And if you look at the names that have been on that resume, it's a bunch of old men. And if you're waiting for Alan Patrick to show up and take his ass whooping from Mason Jones, you might be waiting for a long one time, man. I would be pissed off if I were you, Liam, on that one, just because, man, that plus 110 inside the distance is free money. That you got robbed there, brother.
Bobby Green? We're talking about Bobby Green?
What do you got for us, Sarah? What do you got for us? We've been passionately.
Both did make some really valid points in this argument here, and I wasn't sure. I'm still not 100% sure based on this because I could lean either way, but I am going to go with Nasrat for this one. I think he takes it this weekend and gets it done against Bobby Green. Great argument, though, guys. Great
I would
points.
like to thank Ja. I would like to thank everybody that's ever helped me achieve my goals in my life. This is Mom. This is for you, Dad, my brother Paul, everybody Grandma. We did it, baby. We did it.